Simgot EA500, yes, the single dynamic driver IEM, two interchangeable nozzles coming in at $79. Does it compete in this highly competitive price bracket? Let's find out. Hey friends, welcome back to another video on Giz Audio. Today we have a review of the EA500 by Simgot, a brand that I never really covered on this channel before because honestly I just haven't tried too many of their products until this one. And in today's video, besides reviewing this, we're also going to be comparing it to the Moondrop Aria and the new Titan S as well. Boy, do those sound like ancient names nowadays. Alright, let's jump into the tuning of the EA500, starting with the bass. Now the bass is probably the most highly praised aspect of the EA500 according to a lot of other reviewers and customers who have gotten a unit. Now the bass on this, to me, does sound good. Yeah, it sounds punchy, it's dynamic, it's satisfying, it has a little bit of warmth, which to me is necessary to have like a really full body bass experience. You do need to sacrifice a little bit of the lower mid-range to achieve that. Speaking of that sacrifice, yes, the lower mid-range is not as clean as it can be, so female vocals and some male vocals do come across thicker, a little bit husky, if you will. Now, it's not in the realm of muddy in any way, still sounds rather natural, they're just thicker and heavier, that's all. So if you're looking for a really clean vocal recreation, then the EA500 is a no. This is more of a, I wouldn't even say bass head IEM because it has good dynamic bass, but it doesn't have like a lot of it, if you will. So if bass quantity is what you're looking for, you won't find it here either. It's more like the bass is just very satisfying to listen to. Thumpy, dynamic, again, just sounds good. Now, we lost track a little bit there. Let's drag everything back and talk about the upper mid-range. Now, the upper mid-range is energetic. It's up front, center. The vocal is pretty much the star of the show alongside that really nice quality bass. It does have quite an energetic extension, something akin to a Moondrop Lan, if you will. So vocal energy and vocal nuances are gonna come across a little bit more forward and not as naturally decaying as sets like the 7Hz Zero or the Moondrop Aria or even the new Titan S. This is not a con in my personal opinion, it's just a flavor change. Now speaking of con, there is one arguably big con on the EA500 and that is the treble. The treble is harsh, it's grainy, it's peaky, and it can sometimes be quite distracting. Now the peakiness lives mainly in the air region, so it affects a lot of cymbal hits and a lot of higher instruments. Details do come across more forward, you do get more little treble micro nuances, but it comes at the price of being just a little fatiguing, just peaky, like I said. Now, aside from the peakiness, the treble is also not that even, but this is not really a con that is only for the EA500. It is a con in single dynamic driver IEMs, or most of them in general. They don't have the best treble quality. And I'm just here to say that the EA500 doesn't do any better. So just to recap, the EA500 is a vocal-centric IEM, if you will, a little bit on the warm side with nice satisfying bass, with its biggest con being in the treble area with some graininess and some harshness. Now before we get into the technical performance, let's quickly talk about the nozzles. Yes, these come with nozzles, red nozzles and black nozzles. Now, they don't really do much of anything, no. They're pretty much similar. You can argue that the black one is slightly bit more energetic in the vocal than the red one, but all in all, you're gonna find it quite hard to find true big or distinct differences between the red nozzle and the black nozzle. Now, if you guys know me, I don't really like tuning nozzles, I don't really like tuning switches, and in this case is the best example of why. They don't do enough to justify having them. I feel like they could have just done away with the nozzles and made the EA500 cost maybe $60 or even $50. Then it would be a much better IEM value-wise. So adding another nozzles and bumping up the price when the nozzles don't really do much never made sense to me. And brands, if you're listening to this, you have to stop doing that because you're just bumping the price of your IEM for very little benefit or no benefit at all. In terms of technical performance, let's bring up my scale right here. The EA500 lands right around the Starfield. It's just average for the price, all things considered. Not impressive, but not bad. Now for comparison time, the first IEM is the Moondrop Aria. The Aria is more sub-bassy than the EA500, but I would say the EA500 has much better bass dynamics. The thumps comes across cleaner than on the Aria. I think it has to do with the amount of sub bass the Aria has, maybe, that kind of makes the mid bass not as well defined, while the EA500 focus almost solely on the mid bass. Mid-range wise, I prefer the Aria's mid-range because the decay of the vocals is more natural. It doesn't have that kind of elevated present region, if you will. So vocals are not as nuanced as the EA500, but they're more natural than the EA500. So I prefer the Aria. And in the treble area, I would say they're both equally, not great. Yeah, they're both grainy, they're both harsh, they're both uneven, so the same. So which one should you choose then between the Aria and EA500? For me personally, I prioritize my vocals, and since vocals are more natural on the Aria, I'm willing to sacrifice that mid-bass definition if I get a more naturally decaying vocals and instruments. Needless to say though, if you prioritize having good bass quality, especially mid-bass quality, then the EA500 might be a better choice for you. Next is the Dunu Titan S. Now these two IEMs are really not that similar. The Dunu Titan S has a lot less bass than the EA500 and is focused mainly on the vocals, and the vocal timbre of the Dunu Titan S is probably the best out of the three IEMs we're talking about today. Also, the treble on the Titan S is not as grainy or as harsh as well. The Titan S is just a mid-centric, vocal-centric IEM. The EA500 again has that bass quality that some people may like. As a whole package though, I do prefer the Titan S over the EA500. I do find the treble of the EA500, and by extension also the Aria, distracting. I much prefer the Titan S's type of treble. Final verdict time for the EA500. This one I give it a yellow thumb. Yeah, like it's in the middle for me. It's not impressive, but it's also not outright bad either. It's more like, just like the Moondrop Blonde, it is an option that exists on the market. The one unique-ish thing that it has going for it is maybe the mid-bass. Is that satisfying, and every review that has praised it, I agree with. So that really is the only selling point. There are some cons that for me makes it not something that I would listen to. Again, that treble is just harsh and is distracting me from the overall enjoyment of the bass or the vocals. So yeah, a yellow thumbs for me. I think this quality of sound can be found in, again, the Aria, the Titan S, or even in IEMs cheaper than that, like the 7Hz Zero, the One the Ola, etc, etc. Alright, with all that being said now, thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I would like to thank all my Patreon subscribers now. For the $9 tier, we have Bard, Chadwick, Go210, K, Norm, Robert, Sunirol, and for the $18 people, we have Dr. P, Geeky Audio, Kirk, Mason, Paul, and Sar. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you guys want to support the channel yourself, link to Patreon's down below. And with all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Bye.